we've talked in the past about one Stacey Abrams, but now she's being accused, if you would, of a new crime, a new allegation here in terms of her ethics. And after reviewing this throughout the course of yesterday afternoon and this morning, I mean, my big takeaway is this lady is a problem. And you know what? If we have more Democrats out there that are grifters like her, we get a whole big problem going on. And so this needs to get called out. Just for your recollection, Stacey Abrams, remember her down in Georgia? She was the lady who got that big puff piece on her in the New York Times when she refused to concede the election in Georgia, saying, oh, no, I won. Somehow I won. And she was totally fine to do that. In fact, they praised her. They gave her a really big New York Times weekend magazine spread. I mean, this thing was so bad, they were even asking her about her dating life. Oh, you so don't want to go there, right? New York Times did. But, so she's gotten away with quite a bit. She's the one that they were accusing of making off with some $2 billion. Remember the EPA under Biden giving out all these grants for these green energy things. She was one of them, okay? Well, here's the latest and greatest. They're saying this is like friends with serious benefits. Stacey Abrams is accused of funneling improperly some $20.2 million to her really good friend that she went to Spelman College with for a legal fund that was effectively going nowhere. She created a nonprofit to fight the election, the one that New York Times said she was right to fight on the basis of race and said that it was not fair, that she should have won, that the way Georgia penalizes black voters, she didn't have a shot, et cetera, et cetera. And she paid this particular law firm run by her good friend, Allegra, we'll get her name here, Allegra something. She paid her like $20.2 million. And so all this is coming out because it was revealed, and I credit Real Clear Investigations for some of their reporting on this that they emerged with just last night. It was revealed through tax documents, basically, and it puts her in a very bad spot. So she's got this thing called Fairfight Action. It was one of her nonprofits that she started. This woman's like the queen of nonprofits. I mean, who knew that nonprofits could pay so well? But, hey, you want to talk grift? I'm sorry, but this looks bad to me. Abrams Fairfight Action apparently redirected the tax-exempt donations and government grants to Allegra Hardy. That's the woman I was talking about. It's her former campaign chair, actually, between 2019 and 2023. And most of the funds, according to Real Clear Politics, covered legal expenses charged by this boutique law firm that Ms. Allegra Hardy from Spelman College, good friend of one Stacey Abrams, co-founded. And it was basically this failed attempt to race bait and to suggest that she should have won against Governor Brian Kemp. And she only lost to him because Georgia has some kind of unfair laws when it comes to voting and that penalizes black people. That was the whole thing. So if you read through this, basically, keep in mind, it's a nonprofit, right? So in their articles of Incorporation, Fairfight Action, the little nonprofit she put together to fight this whole thing, states that the corporation will not be operated for the gain or profit of any individual. Oh, okay. I mean, it might have been for Stacey's gain. I mean, she certainly raised her profile. Heck, she got a New York Times big spread where they actually had the stomach to ask her about her dating. That one caught my eye. I'm sorry. But then also it actually was sort of for the financial benefit, if you would, of her friend Allegra. All right. So this nonprofit put the money straight into Allegra's firm. And in total, it was something like $20.2 million. It's a lot. It's actually a lot. It's unusually high. And the IRS doesn't have a breakdown of what they were charging because, lawyers usually charge an hourly rate. So one should be able to get that data, but we don't have it yet. So instead, all we know is that the courts are saying this is kind of high. In fact, Real Clear Investigations interviewed someone, perhaps not the courts yet. I think that it's going to get to that. But they're saying that the costs to litigate the case were extravagant compared with any other voting rights case. and they had been fought in federal court, and that the state of Georgia paid less than $6 million total to defend itself against Stacey's Fairfight Action. All right, so Fairfight Action, by the way, is a disaster. $2.5 million in debt. They just had to lay off a whole bunch of people. It's like her MO, right? You go have a little pop-up nonprofit here and a pop-up nonprofit there and another pop-up right there. Oh, and you get to collect money along the way. According to this, guess what? She got $80,000 because she was CEO of this little pop-up called Fair Fight. Okay, so fair fight was not a fair fight. Fair fight, according to these allegations now, was designed to, one, raise the profile of Stacey Abrams, and two, put a lot of money into the pockets of Allegra Hardy. So, look, she's got a history of this, so none of this should really surprise you. I mean, don't forget New Georgia Project. Another one of her pop-ups, okay, which failed to report millions of dollars in contributions and spending tied to her first gubernatorial bid in 2018. Don't forget, Abrams also lost to Kemp in a rematch back in 22. So she does have a history of this sort of thing, don't forget. And let's keep in mind as well that the whole thing was so failing in the actual court system. In fact, it was an Obama appointed judge that was like, you guys got nothing. Okay, what the heck was this one about? And so now you've got to ask the question, well, why were they out there getting this money from all kinds of people that were putting in these donations to this nonprofit that were tax exempt, by the way, and then they were taking that money, even though it was not in the charter and in the original sort of outline of what the nonprofit was. You're not supposed to use it for anybody's financial gain or any kind of personal gain. But what's being questioned here is whether or not that's in fact what she did. So her allegations, don't forget, in Fairfight Action versus Raffensperger, the suit was claiming that the Georgia Secretary of State, Raffensperger, that their office was denying minorities the right to vote. And the litigation, per Real Clear Politics, promoted Abrams' allegations that she was robbed of victory by Kemp, whom she claimed had disenfranchised blacks through discriminatory voting rules. I mean, what she was, I guess that's because, did they want ID? Oh gosh, you can't ask for ID. I mean, if you're going to get on a Greyhound bus, you got to have an ID. If you're going to get on a plane, you got to have an ID. But, Stacey doesn't want you to have an ID to vote. Anyway, during the trial, Allegra Hardy, Spelman College, bestie of Stacey Abrams, argued this is a modern day Jim Crow. The lawsuit helped turn Abrams into a celebrity. Like we said, she got the big profile, right? In the New York Times. She's like the only person that could be the election denier. She's the only person that could say, I won Georgia governor, at a time when you couldn't go out and say stuff like that. I mean, hey, I think a lot of people learned the hard way, right? You weren't supposed to say anything. Donald Trump was in all kinds of trouble about that one. And certainly if you repeated anything, but if you were Stacey Abrams, oh, by all means, because you had Fair Fight working for you. And $20.2 million in the pockets of one Ms. Allegra Hardy, apparently, who thought it was a modern day Jim Crow thing. The lawsuit, as we said, helped turn Abrams into this national political figure and celebrity. They're talking about her running, for something, and vice president was actually up there at one point. Oh, I can just see it now. And she became a big deal, sort of in this resistance movement to Donald Trump. It was at the time of Black Lives Matter, et cetera. So she becomes a superstar over this whole case that never had a chance. So let's go to what actually happened, because the federal court decided this was just bogus. So here's the judge. And by the way, he's black. Okay, look, I don't care. It's neither here nor there, but interesting given that, she's saying that this is Jim Crow South and he's an Obama appointed judge. This is Judge Steve C. Jones, the Obama appointee who ruled that Fair Fight failed to provide, quote, direct evidence of a voter who was unable to vote. So they didn't have one voter where they could say this person was unable to vote because of racist election laws. So the lawsuit apparently was always going to be a long shot. total long shot. People were like, what are they doing? She's trying to prove intentional discrimination in the state's election laws and practices, and there's probably no way that that is going to happen. So they lost their case. $20 million, $20,200,000 right down the drain. And by September 2022, a federal court said, you know what? We're dismissing the case, and fair fight, you have to pay the legal costs, the court costs, the legal fees of the other side, which amounted to $231,000. It's really kind of remarkable. Again, she paid herself $80,000. Stacey did, to run this whole thing. She's Fairfight's CEO, right? So she's the one, she's like CEO of all these pop-ups everywhere. But this one in particular had a lot of money backing it, and she was out there fundraising so that she could fight this thing. Fairfight, very well named. I mean, did you take marketing in school? Stacey, impressive name. Look, she's the ultimate grifter. This woman is a total grifter. I mean, she's already faced fines, 300 and some odd thousand. She's got one nonprofit that's had to lay off everybody because, oh gosh, Donald Trump won't actually give out these federal grants anymore. I mean, it's tough when you can't live off the federal government spigot. You know, Biden was just handing it out like candy. Here you go. You want more money, more money, more money, more money. We got to win Georgia, right? We got to do whatever we can to win Georgia. So, yeah, unbelievable. This is the woman who's her friend, okay? The Spelman College lady friend who got $20.2 million. Here's my thing. Okay, you believe that it is an unfair system in Georgia. If you believe that, Ms. Allegra Hardy, then you know what? You take a lot of pro bono cases. You reported a ton of income during those years. And it wasn't just all from Stacey. I mean, a lot of it was, but it wasn't all from her. So, hey, you know, why not take it pro bono? In all seriousness, if you're so passionate about, apparently she is on her bio at her law firm, she says she cares so much about these voting issues and how race is affected or affects voting issues. So, hey, guess what? You know, you've taken pro bonos before. Take it pro bono. Oh, no. She's going to get paid $20 million for a lousy case because they're all grifters. Okay? This thing turns out to be true. It just reinforces what we've already been hearing over and over and over again about Stacey Abrams. I mean, consider what we learned when Donald Trump came into power. And by the way, we'll credit Elon Musk with this, right? And Doge. I mean, Trump came in and he froze all of Stacey's grants. She's freaking out. I mean, what are they going to do? They don't have the money to keep these things going. And believe me, these were big businesses that had come about thanks to Biden's spigot. In fact, we learned back in February, don't forget, we talked about this, that the EPA head, Lee Zeldon, you remember him, I know him well, he actually would come on the show quite a bit back on Trish Regan Primetime, because he was a congressman from New York and always had a lot of thoughtful things to say. He came out and said there was a shocking $20 billion that Biden was funneling through Citibank, and it was just the tip of the iceberg. And guess what? The nonprofit connected to one Stacey Abrams was getting $2 billion of it. I mean, wow, this, like I said, this is big business, good work if you can get it.